Hey guys, before we get into today's video, just a quick reminder that these are saved recordings of our podcast. If you want to catch us live, head on over to twitch.tv/slightly inappropriate with an underscore at the end on Mondays and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
Hello. How is a recent follower, Killjoy1? Oh shit! We went from what, 17 to 21?
Yeah, something like that.
What the hell? Thanks, guys. Oh my goodness. Uh, Vic, buddy, how have you been today?
Um, same old, same old. Didn't really do much today. Had the day off, so
Nice,
just
nice.
been chilling.
Always. I saw you playing Apex earlier. Did you get any jobs?
No, I played only one game, and for some reason my computer was lagging a little bit.
Uh, that's unfortunate. I cursed you. Passed on my curse to you.
Yeah, a little bit.
Uh, well, for those of you who don't know who this is Mula. It's the light of my life. Oh, you guys can't even see her. I have a cat on my lap. She's right here. She's sleepy. She's a sleepy baby. Mula. Also, I mentioned that I have a surprise for people. Hi, Vic.
Just a haircut.
Yeah, I shaved my
Uh,
head. I remember the first time I shaved my head, and I sent you a picture, and you screamed. So I
oh,
was hoping,
now at this point, I'm just kind of used to it.
just like sporadic me doing like weird shit to my
Yeah, see,
hair.
now I'm used to it. I think the last time you were like completely bald, and that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I was, dude. I went like full on, full on, just like no trimmers or and like length things, just like straight blades. uh, yeah, but I chopped it all off. It was hot, and it was just one of those. I'm bored. What can I do? And then I just decided to do it. But anyways, today's today's episode should be a fun episode. Vic, do you want to explain what our lovely topic is?
Yeah, so for this episode, we decided to do something different. For the last three episodes, we've done list on our favorite things related to video games, whether it was, our favorite music soundtracks, our favorite um, story-based games, and our most iconic characters. So today we wanted to get out of that little realm for a little bit. So today we decided to do a hot take, and this is something that I'm kind of excited for, and a category for this podcast that I think will be good. A little bit of diversity. So today's hot take is: should esports be considered an actual sport?
Oof. Hot take, hot take, hot take.
Yeah, so it is quite the hot take. As you know, esports has been a pretty big thing recently. In the more recent times, in video games, you see a lot more teams being formed. You see a lot of big sponsorships and companies, organizing major tournaments and all these things and picking out really good players and forming a competitive scene and making them compete and win huge prizes, win huge amounts of money and all
Mm-hmm,
that stuff,
mm-hmm.
and then with it being named esports comes a little lively debate between people whether or not it should be considered an actual sport. So
Right.
we decided to take matters into our own hands and decide maybe. Ooh, how does one think is now following? Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, thank you. So, Tim, I think you should start off first
Yeah,
with
we're
this one.
starting off with me first.
Yeah, because this is the more popular. Your stance is the more popular one.
Actually, it's funny doing my own research. It's kind of divisive. There's a lot of for and not for, but mine my topic. or my opinion on it is yes, esports should be considered a legitimate sport. And Victor,
Oh yeah,
I wrote notes this time.
yeah. This time.
This time. So the definition of a sport, according to the Oxford Dictionary, says that any physical activity engaged for pleasure. But there's a problem with that definition, and the same thing for the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Firstly, the dictionaries are out of date that we use. There, I don't believe a new edition's been out in the last 20 years or so. So the definition of the last time a slang word got introduced was the word leet, and that was no woot, and that was W00T. Just to put you some perspective into when the last time that was updated. But as I mentioned before, the physical activity engaged in for pleasure. I have an issue with that because Vic, did you know that there are professional cornhole leagues?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, that to me doesn't make any sense because you're not really doing anything all that physical for that either. You're just tossing something. Croquet. And I know there's probably going to be a couple golf players out here, but golf. The common argument against esports not being a legitimate sport is the physical aspect, and that's by and large what seems to be most people's route of
Yep.
calling it competitive, skill based, rather than physically engaging. However, a scholarly article that I picked out was by the uh, sportsjournal.com. Uh, you could read this article off of Google Scholar as well. The reality of esports is that you have a bunch of people, you know, and this is a team or a single. We've seen like celebrities like Ninja, if you can call him a celebrity. He's by and large mostly a solo performer. But when I think of esports, I'm thinking like Call of Duty, Owl League, Counter Strike. You have teams that literally rent out spaces and offices for them to get together and practice with each other, leading up to big competitive events, much like an actual team has their own fields to practice for competitive events.
Yep.
Along with that, players are mostly decided through contractual agreements, much like a real sport. Along with that, there's a professional legitimacy, i.e., uniforms that say, hey, we are, just to name, we are Dallas or we are Atlanta for the Owl League, the terms, because I've been watching a lot of Owl League lately. Uh, Funnily enough, while I'm explaining my opinion, I'm going to throw this fun fact at you, Vic. Did you know the first competition that you could technically label as esports was held in 1972?
Really?
Yeah, and it was called Space Wars, and it was a Space Invaders tournament in a
Huh.
college. Uh huh. So what does an actual sport entail? An actual sport entail?
Ooh.
Physical.
Kit Kat
Oh,
Cyborg. Thank you for the follow.
oh, thank you, Kat. So we talk about esports and we talk about legit sports, right? Well, esports is kind of in the spotlight these days through ESPN coverage as well. So if they're covering it, shouldn't it be enough to consider it a sport? That's one point to make. But then again, tying it back to the physical aspect of it all, we have the notion of physical exertion through the act of your competitive sport, right, Vic?
Yep.
So here's the thing. When we play Apex and
Yep.
we're in the final five,
Yep.
we have yo Mav, what's good? We
Hi, Mav.
have we have the as physical exertion in this article, they pinpoint a couple of key attributes: sweating, pupils dilated, heart racing, breath, and your blood pressure increasing. All things that that a typical athlete would experience when they are in their mindset. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we get into competitive natures, we can see that there is a little bit of a physicality involved in terms of, like not as much as say football, or, and I mean football, not football Americana, but we're going to be talking about that as well later on. We have football and then football Americana,
Yep.
and you know, there's still aspects of physical exertion that we experience as gamers, even casually playing. We've gotten stressed out from games. We've gotten angry when we lost. Like we can speak for it like in personal, like, anecdotal terms, but these are like the key attributes of physical exertion. And so, like, in in the spirit of competition, there is some exertion to a degree. Again, not as much in comparison to those contact sports, as this article also mentions. There's a difference between contact sports and non-contact sports, and non-contact sports are labeled as, golf, volleyball. Uh, we have swimming, tennis, things of that nature. However, did you also know, Vic, that chess is considered a non-contact sport,
Yeah, I'm aware.
which you use the same brain capacity to play some video games competitively. Along with that, we have bowling. Poker is considered a mind sport, and we have darts, fishing, and marksmanship across archery, which I understand is physically demanding. But we're talking about like pigeon shooting, like, the targeting with
Yeah.
small caliber rounds to shoot these things.
Yeah.
You're utilizing the same brain cells. Big Papa, well, hello there indeed. You're utilizing the same brain power for these things, the precision and the skill. A lot of these things, cons- a
Big
lot of these,
Papa, thank you for the follow.
thank you. A lot of these topics, or a lot of these point of contentions goes down to the physicality aspect of it all.
Right.
However, there are certain things that are considered a legitimate sport that don't necessarily have a lot of physicality involved in it either.
Yep.
Another avenue. Oh, Crystal, hell yeah, dude, I love you. Thank you. Um, Another thing is, that I want to point out
Hmm.
for esports, if esports gets recognized as a legitimate sport,
Yep.
we could pave the way for the NCAA to include it into their scholarships as well.
Hmm.
If the NCAA takes esports as seriously as some other people like the ESPN and, diehard fans and the teams and players, as well as the coaches, if the NCAA agrees that it is a legitimate sport, we could potentially pave the way for scholarships to be created for kids who are unable to compete in physically demanding sports, whether it's due to, a physical ailment, but they can still play video games, but they can't get a scholarship through, you know, the education route, but they're very good at this at these games competitively.
Yep.
We could pave the way to generate scholarships in that aspect. The truth, as well, is that some physical sports, you'll have people who use like substance abuse, illegal substances to give themselves a competitive advantage. But
Yep.
esports also has a dark side. I discussed it with a couple friends, Maverick and your Bud 36, about this as well, which is controversial in the esports community. The usage of mental stimulation like Adderall
Oh,
to
yep.
focus in, and literally, basically, it's cheating. You know,
Yep. Yep.
it is a performance enhancement drug for
Hmm.
that. So there are, as much as I don't want to shine a light on this, there are people who are cheating to be better than they actually are as well, which you can find across the board in all aspects of
Yeah.
sports.
Not to mention the hacks too.
Right, exactly. The
Hmm.
hacks as well.
Yep.
So my, and this is kind of unrelated but also related. The thing, I mostly am advocating esports being considered a legitimate sport to sort of save people some physical injuries that they can get as well. So physical sports such as football, probably the most dangerous, like American football, probably one of the most dangerous sports to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
uh, mental sports can create and encourage an alpha mentality, which that over hyper aggressive behavior, uh, and leads to the development of CTE in the brain. If you
Mm-hmm.
guys aren't familiar with CTE, that's also called black brain. It's when your head takes too many traumatic blows and you actually get black spots all over your brain. And there are there have been instances
Keep going. Keep going.
there are instances in which the physical the physical consequences of CTE leads people to actually commit suicide. And there was a recent suicide that has happened, um, where a retired football player, actually no, not even retired, he was still playing. He shot himself in the heart so they could scan his brain for
Oof.
CTE.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know they've been shedding more of a light on concussions and all that stuff, especially in American football. Yep.
Right. So that's the thing. If esports were considered a legitimate thing, we'll save people from like life-threatening injuries as well. So I'm like a huge buff when it comes to mental health. Anyways, Vic, you know me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always encourage people to like look out after themselves and do all that they need to do to make sure they're doing good mentally. And
Right.
this is a route. This is a route to do that. But yeah, curious to hear your argument.
Yeah. Yeah, and before I begin, we're gonna take this little message here from Big Papa. Well, here's my perception about esports. It's not the physical sport. I'd say it's the sport that trains you mentally. For example, like giving some callouts for your teams helps you improve socially. Aim training and muscle memory builds over time. Game sense and all the other stuff. But most important part of esports for me is giving information.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's some pretty valid points, and there are some points in there that I want to talk about, and in your argument for why esports should be considered a sport, and all that. So before I begin, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm not trying to, like bring this
Illegitimize,
down. What's that?
like you're not trying to illegitimize.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do that at all about this uh specific thing, this esports, because I am aware of how much it takes. you know I am aware of like the hard work and dedication that all of these competitive players put in to doing it, but to me, I don't see it as a sport. um
Oh, Vic, before you continue, let me just say, like, guys, Vic is a semi-competitive player himself. He's like a former Smash competitor. So like
Yes, like
he's
I've I've
seen.
I've competed, like myself in local tournaments, and all that stuff, and but like the funny part is I don't even think Smash is like considered like a is even under the category of esports. It's more team based, and Smash you don't really get that. It's just a one on one. But like I mean, most there are some sports out there like tennis, where it can be one on one, But anyway, I'll delve a little bit more into that. Like I said, I'm not trying to say some bad shit about esports or anything like that. Like I recognize uh all the hard work and dedication, the blood, sweat, and tears that they pour in. Um, but the only reason why I say no, it should not be considered an actual sport, is I think it should be rebranded as something else rather than just a sport,
Mm.
because now we're having this conversation as to whether or not it should be considered a sport. And we'll go off your first point, was the definition of a sport. And I looked it up myself too. It says I got more of a little different definition than what you gave, but it's more or less the same, where it's an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which a team or individual competes against another or others for entertainment, right? But I also went ahead and Googled the esports definition, right?
Mm,
And it says competitive tournaments of video games, especially among professional gamers. Now,
mm,
nowhere in that do you really hear anything about like, oh, it's a sport, like whether it's mentally contact, no contact, or any of that stuff. I think it has to be rebranded into something else. I'm gonna go ahead and just get the main uh, reason as to why it shouldn't be. And you're right, it is the physical aspect of it. It's not very physically demanding because when you hear a sport, you think of all the big ones. You think of tennis, you think of baseball, you think of soccer,
right.
you think of American football, all these sports. And then you're right, there are sports that are like non-contact, maybe that don't require as much physical exertion,
Mm-hmm.
like bowling or even chess. Like I can't believe chess is a sport, but like,
Fishing,
but
fishing.
like to each their own. Fishing and all that stuff. But hey, if it's your thing, it's your thing, and that's fine. But esports is a very particular one because it has a bad reputation, right? It's not, because you throw the word sports in there, it's up for debate now because now people think that, oh, when you hear esports, oh, you think of people just playing video games, you think of people just, most people who are probably fat, lazy, like the bad stigmatism against, competitive video game players, and like, I mean, like some of them are right. There are some overweight people who play, competitively and this and that. Like esports does not really have you be, in the best shape, of your life compared to like these other sports, right? You don't necessarily have to do exercise, like physical exercise. You don't have to like run or anything like that. Like I guarantee you, like there is training that they do. Both of these things, right? Sports, esports, they do training, they do practice, they do, they have to have team communication, they have to have, some sort of winning mentality, right? But it's just not a physical enough uh, entertainment source for me, you know, and like I said, it requires practice. There's huge amounts of entertainment for it. There are promos, stuff that all both of these things share, right? But sports, like I said before, they require a lot more, and they require a lot more from you. It's more physically demanding. There are higher standards that they kind of let you, or that they put you on, diets and exercises and all that stuff. There's not a whole ton of it in esports, but I do know that recently they've been hiring new nutritionists to get them to, to eat right,
Right.
because now you have a healthy mind, healthy body. Now you get to focus more. It's more of a mentality thing, versus a physical thing, right? I would like it for it to be rebranded. I think it's more of a skill than a sport, like a skill slash art form, you know,
Mm,
than an actual sport. We have the sports, and then we talked about the other sports that you mentioned, right? The fishing, the chess, and all that stuff. I think it's more of under that category, and we'll talk about risk factors too, right? It There are more, huge risk factors on, like on physical sport, on sports that I've mentioned. Like there are injuries. They could be out for long periods of time. They low key put their life on the line, whether they know it or not. Like like one game you could be having the game of your life, the next day you could be out on a stretcher. You don't know. And we'll go, I don't know if you heard about the Euros, like the guy who
yeah,
passed out, Christian
yeah.
Eriksen, who passed out, in the middle of the game. It's very, very physically demanding. They're playing out in hot temperatures, cold temperatures. These guys are just, in a room, you know, cool. Maybe it's, ventilated. I don't know, right? But um, the risk factors are there, and I will acknowledge there are, some risk factors when it comes to esports. Maybe it could strain your eyes, maybe, like you get some carpal tunnel, but it's just not as, dangerous as, sports, right? And I want to go back to saying it's more a skill than an art form, because I feel like it'll be easier for someone who right, who's a professional athlete, right? I think it's an easier transition for them to go into gaming rather than gaming going into uh these sports. For me personally, I feel like it's a little bit easier making that transition from playing an activity, a sport, soccer, football, whatever, and then sitting down in a chair for, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours, and then you know you move a mouse, your fingers are on the keyboard and all that stuff. But like I said, I don't want to take away from what these guys do. I myself was a competitor in the local scene, for Smash, and that was really the only one that I did, was just Smash. I could only imagine the intensity, the pressure that these guys have. Whether it's for Apex, Overwatch, CS:GO, like all that stuff. I get
Mhm.
it, right? But when it comes to sports, esports doesn't really come to mind. It's just that label, right? It's just the sports label that's attached to it that makes it, now it's up in the air. Now it's being covered by ESPN. But I'm pretty sure they have like their own like network, um, right? No, I think they have their own like TV network that they stream these
For
competitions. I'm pretty sure,
ESPN,
right?
ESPN has their own separate network, but I don't believe, unless G4 it plans on doing it when they come back, because G4 is being revived. Everybody,
Yeah, so,
unless
like I know that they have their own thing. See, because that's why they should have their own thing. It should be labeled as its own entertainment, like entertainment. I don't know, something,
see,
rather than it being a sport and being in that category.
okay, Vic, do you have any more arguments? I was going to say something, but then I was like, let me
No,
not,
you can
in
you
case
can you can tell me.
the problem with the problem with putting it on its own platform, on its own service, is the fact that in a way that's going to be delegitimizing to it. Um, as of now, we have ESPN covering it, as we said. Now, if we take that off of ESPN, maybe, I don't know if this will actually happen, but maybe less eyes will be on it since it's not in the mainstream.
See,
When
I
you
don't
think of,
think it would be because you have Twitch right here. They even stream like their own competitive games. Like there is a category here where they have competitions and stuff like that. Like I've seen some Apex tournaments being held here.
right, right, right. But that's because we know about Twitch. The common person, like I'm saying, like the person that's not the most nerdiest individual and may not be exposed to it otherwise for not knowing what Twitch is, if it's on ESPN, they'll be more exposed to it. That's the thing. It's the exposure of the medium. If we take one outlet of exposure away from an individual, then that's one less person able to watch it, and it's more less credibility given to esports. If that makes sense to you.
It makes sense, but it doesn't. Like and I get what you're trying to say, right? It's not as legit. Now it's not under, the big spotlight. Now it's not being, covered by a major company and stuff, such as ESPN, right? But maybe that's what is needed. Like if you really want to push this, then it has to be in its own category. Like you know, we have Twitch, we have YouTube, we have other sources of, platforms that can potentially hold or host big tournaments like this.
Right.
Like, and I've seen some of them, like I'll take Smash for example, because that was the scene that I was in competitively. Like those were streamed on Twitch, those were even like uploaded on YouTube. Like the matches that you see there, they're saved there, and
Right.
they're huge. They're vast amounts of platforms that people can use. They even had Discord servers as to, like when the next tournament would be. You have Facebook groups and and all
Mhm.
that stuff. It would be better if it was just its own thing, because now you have people saying, okay, well then let's not compare it right to ESPN. There are a vast amount of sports that they cover, right?
Right.
like, maybe you're right, it's like a 30-minute, hour show. You have to, within that time frame, you have to fit in, XYZ sports, right? And now you're adding another one, right? If it's in its own platform, you can have a whole hour dedicated to just,
I see
you
what you're
know,
saying now.
yeah,
I see
exactly.
what.
Because like, if you want to legitimize it more, if you want to promote it some more, make it be its own thing, right? Just make it be on its own channel, on its own TV host, like some its own network,
Vic,
and promote it there.
we can we just shout out a message that we just have?
Yeah,
Gold Dust Girl 97 says, if anything, it would make it more legitimized because it would have its own platform rather than having to piggyback off of another platform. Which I can
thanks,
see
Julie,
that.
for the support.
I could see. Oh wait, is that Julie?
Yeah, that's
Is that your
Julie. Yeah,
girl? Hi, Julie. Hello. And then After Dark Music, I get what he's saying. Some sports are so big and have a history that they don't really need the exposures that esports do, because esports is still fairly new in comparison to sports that have already been around since early civilization. Which, that's a fair point to make. Thank you, chat, for chiming in and
yes, thank you, Tom.
oh, that's Tom. Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you guys chiming in on the conversation. We love it. We
yeah, it's a good thing.
absolutely. Um, See, Vic, you mentioned something that intrigued me. If I could say that, if I could piggyback up of one of your arguments that you
Yeah,
made, you said the more fit and physical prospects, and you know, those people have trained their whole lives and are like dedicated to training. Thank you, Kat, for the lurk.
yeah,
So my question is, why should they be? I understand there's like a lot of physical prowess that goes along, and I'm not trying to like take away from anything, but
right.
if you have a professional you know, doing really good at what they do, why
Yeah,
should somebody who does esports be like a professional esports player, like a top name like that,
mm-hmm.
be considered less than and not given the same things? I understand that there's the object of uh, you know the mind, body, and soul, blood, sweat, and tears mentality. But that's exactly the mentality that I'm worried about when it comes to this. Because even then, that mentality can come through in esports as well.
Yeah.
Like I've seen we've seen shit talkers in esports. We've seen a lot of shit
Oh
talkers.
yeah, yeah,
Like, and that's the thing. Why should those people like the more fit? Because you mentioned somebody who's overweight and
yeah,
things like that. The image of like a stereotypical gamer,
yeah,
have like they have the hunchback, and then they're like
yeah. They eat
slightly
Mountain Dew, Doritos.
eat Mountain Dew and drink Doritos.
Yeah, Mountain Dew, Doritos.
But see,
Yeah,
my issue, that's the thing. You have people who are like gifted phenomenally in athletics, but why aren't we gifting like the more skill based, you know, I love drinking Doritos.
yeah,
Why aren't we? Why aren't we like treating the other side of that, the professional gamers, as we would say? Why aren't they getting scholarships and things like that for doing exceptionally well? Where some contests you don't even play for money, you play for a case of beers at a local brewery. No, I'm
I
kidding.
mean, it's true. Hey man, I won those tournaments, and those were the most hype tournaments I've ever played in.
And like
But that
I didn't.
wasn't a competitive scene. That was just for shits and giggles. That was not ranked or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just an inside joke. But there are probably leagues, as Big Papa mentioned earlier. They played locally and they won $10
Yeah,
and things like that. Or I just feel like people aren't taking it as seriously as it should be, in a way, because like as After Dark Tom had mentioned, esports still needs exposure
yeah,
before it can run. It needs to walk before it can run.
right,
If they put the gun on it,
right.
that and create their own platforms, which there are their own platforms. Like for the fighting game scene, we have Evo, then we
Yeah,
have
we
like
do. Yeah, Evo.
yeah, yeah. So like there's its own platform, but Evo was established before the term esports came out, and Evo gets highlighted every now and then in the
Yeah,
esports scene. you know. So it's not like I get what what you're saying by
Mm-hmm.
rebranding. Now I'm curious. Oh wait, before I ask you this question, you
Yeah.
also mentioned that some injuries aren't as life threatening. However, life threatening and debilitating are still, you know, they should still be taken just as seriously. You
Right.
know, injuries become detrimental to somebody's living state if they're recurring, and you
Right.
know, carpal tunnel is one of those things. If far gone too long, you actually lose the ability to use like all of your fingers, which heavily impacts your everyday life as well.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
So
no
like,
denying that.
right.
And I'm just saying there's just more of a risk factor
Oh yeah,
in
absolutely,
sports. That's just
absolutely.
my take on it. And I'm not trying to, like I said, it has nothing to do against, making it look bad or making it look like it's not a serious thing. Like I know it's a serious thing, like I myself was,
Right.
shitting myself whenever I had to go up against someone that was significantly better than me. Like at one point I did face like the number one Sonic in the New England area, and needless to say, I got my ass kicked. You
Yeah.
know, because
So
they put in the dedication. They put in the hard work. And I put in my own dedication and my own hard work into my character. I just
right, absolutely.
came up short, right? So, and it's interesting, right? Is that we have Evo, right? In
Hmm.
the for fighting games, right? That, and you said it was already established before esports itself was even a thing, or as big as it is now. So I don't see what's wrong with just making it like that, making an Evo for these esports,
Hmm.
because like we said before, if you want it to be, if you want more light for, to be shone on it, you have to make it its own thing, right? Even putting the label sports on it, just, now there's this debate, right? And it's just, it's, it's not a good thing. And yeah, like I did mention about, people who may not be as, fit, when they're, when playing video games, a professional gamer, you know, like why are they called professional gamers and not professional athletes? You know, like they're professional gamers. These are professional athletes. They fall under those different sports categories, you know, and I think it just would be better for it to be rebranded, because now it's its own thing. Now you probably get more money from it. Like, okay, now you want to invest into this. Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of things that they could probably do with it. Like ESPN, they have like their own app, their own subscription, ESPN Plus,
Right,
and all that stuff, and I have it, right, because I want to watch my matches. And
right. Of course
of
you do.
course I do, baby. Football is life.
Yeah. He's
But
not talking about American football. So
yeah,
about
no, no,
football.
no, 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 bro. If you call it soccer, like there's something wrong with you. And I only say soccer because no one's gonna understand if I say football. But anyway, like they have their own app and they have their own subscription, ESPN Plus. Like I said, I have. I want to watch my games, but on it, I don't see esports. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't see esports.
I've noticed it too because you know me, I love watching.
And don't get me wrong, like I've watched tournaments. I've watched a competitive Apex
I've watched all
tournament.
of Tekken. He's like, you
Yeah,
know, I for Lil Majin. He's a goat.
and I
King.
know that there's a lot of communication, a lot of shouting, a lot of, team comps, like a lot of call outs. I mean, how we even do it on our, for our own leisurely pleasure. We did it last night for like, like on Overwatch,
Mhm.
you know,
By
you know.
the way, can we shout out Maverick Jack for being the best Ana? Best Ana.
I know, me and my dumbass with Reinhardt just swinging hammers and hoping I get something. I did get play of the game though,
Okay,
once.
so Victor, let me got it a couple of times. Don't sell yourself short. So Victor, I'm curious for you. Mav is meta. Sweaty magic in the chat. Hell
Map
yeah.
is
You're
meta.
Jersey main. Hell yeah, cat.
I know.
So let me ask you, Vic,
Yeah,
if you could have rebranded, right? If you had the hypothetically, if you
yeah.
had the pen and paper, what would you call it? Because I'm genuinely flustered, as to thinking about how to term it.
I
And
see. That's the
what
difficult part.
what would you call, guys? What would you call
I,
if
I
you
don't
had to
know.
change
If you
the name
want to
of the
keep the E in it, for electronic, I don't know. Electronic entertainment, E entertainment. I don't know. E for everyone. I don't know.
we're getting into the WWE entertainment,
There you go.
but I don't know.
Because that now see now that's another thing,
You
right?
raised some
And
valid points.
like
Yeah.
now that raises the question as to what what it could be rebranded as. I don't know, right? But video games and sports are just so vastly different, right? Why try to fit it under this one umbrella when you can just separate it and be its own thing, and then it'll be more popular on its own thing. There's no reason why you have to put it, both of them under the same umbrella. you know Now it's its own thing, right? And you'll get
Hmm.
more viewers, right? You say that there's not enough like coverage for it. We've discussed the platforms that it could possibly, probably be on, and all that stuff. But to me, I just, when you hear sports, I just do not think of video games in the slightest, even despite me being competitive myself for a bit. I've had my
There was
time in the scene.
there was a term that somebody used to describe poker because they were kind of outraged at it being that mind sport, but the
Yeah,
term sport is still in there. I myself still think that it should be considered a legitimate sport.
right.
You know, there's still the physical exertion aspect that we've mentioned that we've both talked about. And funnily enough, you still burn some calories sitting down in your chair. Probably not as much as these mega athletes doing their games, but there's still there's still some calories being
There's just a
burned.
bad rap to it. When you
Yeah,
attach the word
there's
sports, yeah, like
for
there's just a
sure.
bad rap because they're gonna think, oh, why should like they're doing nothing but just sitting on a computer chair. They're sitting on their gaming chair. They're just moving their fingers around. They're moving their mouse
I
around.
think to counter that argument, I think it's because nobody has bothered to watch a game. I think by and large that there are people in sub comments of Reddits on some articles who are quick to judge without actually sitting down to watch a competitive game.
Sure.
I think if they were more open to the idea and watched, say, like an Owl series, Owl for those of you who aren't about Overwatch, Owl it stands for Overwatch League. They sat down and watched an Owl League match. I think they'll get some semblance of understanding because at the end of the day, who's a huge advocate of esports, Victor?
Hmm.
Mr. Terry Crews
Is he?
himself. Terry Crews endorses esports. He absolutely loves the esports scene, and he is a big fan of the esports scene.
Oh, well, there you go.
We need more people endorsing it and who are open minded. And mind you, Terry Crews is a former NFL player too. Like, and if there's an athlete out there saying that esports should be considered a sport, maybe there might be people to turn their heads and say like maybe we should watch out for this. Because granted, like again, you raise some valid points, and I'm going to I'm not saying that you're wrong in any way or shape or form,
Yeah,
but
it's
I could
just our
see
opinions. Yeah.
like, and I could see arguments for and against.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot for against. I found in my research. There's a lot for, and it's mostly because of the team comps, the communication skills, the hand-eye coordination that it takes. And
Mhm.
you could argue like, oh, why, like if it's so easy, like you say, then why don't you do it? I mean, like, we'll take Apex for example, right? I can be very competitive. I can be very hard, and mad and angry that, maybe we're not
Mhm.
playing well. Maybe I myself am not playing well. Maybe we didn't push. Maybe we didn't, like stuff like that. These are call outs, right? It's because I suck. I know I suck. Like I'm terrible. All right. Me and Bloodhound, all right, two peas in a pod, but we just suck. We suck. I am aware that I suck.
Listen, like,
And it's not easy. I know it's not easy. you
not.
know
It's definitely not. Uh, But in my humble smooth brain opinion, um, and we have big smooth brain energy here. I think that with the aspects that we've mentioned, with the team aspect especially,
Mm-hmm.
I I honestly believe we have the team aspect, and then we have the solo performers as well. Not to take anything away, but if you watch a pro Valorant game, you watch a pro Owl game, you watch a pro CS:GO game, as Big Papa mentioned, as Crystal had mentioned before, these people. Oh, don't even get me started on the COD scene. We Optic Gaming. Remember, like one of the first legitimate sports signed and sponsored Optic, and now we have 100 Thieves, which is, there's so many teams in the
Yeah, we
scene
got
now.
NRG, TSM,
Right, right. We
and they
have
each have their own categories. They have an NRG for Apex. They have yeah, they have a competitive team, and they even have like a what do you call it? Like an entertainment, team for that. But they're not a sports team. They're a competitive team. You know.
see that's the thing. We're like splitting hairs, you know. Optic phase, yeah. We're splitting hairs because these things they demonstrate a lot of the same type of call outs that say like uh, another sport would have. You know, you have to know how to play and have to know what you're doing in order to execute the things that they do. And you have to have some physical capability in order to execute the things that they are able to execute,
Right.
for sure. Because if like you get Schmo Joe, right, just to and sit him behind a computer and make him go into a professional league, professional facing a professional team, or he is assigned a role to just try to fulfill, and he can't fulfill that role, then maybe he might get some respect for it. That's all I'm saying. You know,
Right.
right? But we want to hear a little bit from the chat now. What do you what like more so that we have? If you could rebrand it to make to meet the middle ground, maybe what would you call it? What would you call that?
I
I'm
mean, yeah.
curious.
I mean, either you agree, disagree with one of us,
Hmm?
just why?
Yeah,
You know.
like we want to hear some other things. Also, I think this is the time that we can shout out a couple of the newer followers that we didn't catch while we were away, which I was very shocked to walk into 20
Yeah, I think
20 something.
the last one was Snoogan.
And then
I think that was the last one.
how who did we went from
Maybe Master C. I think that one we shouted out.
call the air, call the air. Yeah, that's
Huh?
that's a new one. That's a new one.
Oh,
That's
that's a
my
new
buddy.
one.
But yeah, 10 people, 10 viewers.
Oop, oop. Uh-oh. Yeah, I accidentally hit a button.
But yeah, we absolutely love it. We absolutely love it here, and we love that you guys decide to come hang out with us.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, so let's quickly shout those people out. So the last one was Snoogans, right?
and
So
Game
after
Masters.
that, yeah, after that it was Game Master C.
Mm-hmm.
After Dark Music, thank you, Tom. Your butt 36 and your Killjoy Juan.
Your brother.
Yeah, my brother.
Hey, shout out to Juan, kind fellow. Shout
Fellow
out
kind
to kind
fellows.
fellow. Oh my goodness, that's an inside joke between all of us.
Mm,
Oh my goodness. But yeah, we're glad that you guys take a little bit of time out of your day to come hang out with us. And like I promised, this wasn't going to kill me and Victor's friendship. Victor, you're dead to me.
yet, yet.
Yet.
But I think it was a good thing that both of us had different views. Otherwise, I think it would just be kind of
It would
cut and
just
dry if it were just both of us saying yes, it should be, or maybe not. Maybe it could have been more
I
entertainment.
like
Maybe
the
we could shed
discussion.
more light. But I like the fact that we both had different opinions on it.
Right. Right. Uh,
It's a good thing.
it is a good thing, and it's a good discussion to have.
It
Differing
is,
opinions
because
also.
this podcast is all about, video games and comic books, everything nerd culture, and all that stuff. Like we are huge, you know,
Huge
gamers
lovers of all
ourselves.
types of pop
Yeah.
culture, all types of pop culture that we like enjoy, especially gaming, especially like comics and things related to comic books, things
Yep.
of that nature. We're absolutely fans of all different types of like nerdy media. So if you guys want, those of you who aren't in it yet, let me go ahead and grab you guys a link to. Oh, that's
Yeah,
not
but
what I.
like you said, it is a very good discussion to have. Like I'm not saying, like no, just cut it out completely. Like shouldn't be a thing. Blah blah blah. I'm saying no, right? But yes, at the same time. It's more so the no than the yes, but I want it to be its own thing. I want it to be I want it to be, well promoted, well recognized by other people, because I enjoy watching, competitive uh teams play and really go at it, you know. I love
Absolutely.
watching NRG. I love watching TSM, despite one of their plays being a little too salty and things and kind of low key a douche, but yeah, I can't deny he has immense skill, you know.
Also, the surprise for you guys is that Tim shaved his head. I forgot to mention that. I shaved my head. I got rid of all my hair. Sorry. Side note. But yeah, you guys also missed my cat because she was on camera for a bit. Um, but no, like I think you're right in some arguments. I'll admit that there are some interesting points that you have. Rebranding it is an interesting thing because I myself did not think of that. Um,
Yeah, it's an interesting take, and some of the articles that I read didn't really promote that idea either. It was just most of them were just no, cut it out completely. No, it's not a sport. Like and
yeah,
it was
you're
really
really,
bashing it.
really,
Like they're
yeah,
really like yeah.
you know, you either get the diehard yes, 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 or the people that are like no.
Yeah, it was. I didn't see a lot of too. I didn't see a lot of many, articles that
Nobody was trying to
said,
find solutions
yeah,
either.
it was either a yes or a no.
I would like
You
to
know,
see if somebody says no, what would be the alternative? And Vic, you're probably the first time today that I've heard an
I've seen
alternative
like
to
maybe one or
brand.
two articles that said it's more of a skill rather than than a sport, but it didn't really give enough points. It was just like a little paragraph like this, you know. But I wanted it to be. But I took that idea and I was like, well, yeah, like okay, I believe it, right?
How do you
It's
expound on that
yeah,
though?
like how do you expand on that though, right? So I'm thinking, well, just make it its own thing, rebrand the entire thing, you know.
I think I think there the arguments for it to be a legitimate sport are sound. Like from what I've read, much like from what I've read in terms of like when you the but the only thing that irked me when it's on the other side is the fact that um, it always tied back to that physical demand.
Yeah, all of it was what that was the big point in either the yes or the no. Their main point was the physical aspect of it all.
Now, you see, I tried to like get into your mindset potentially. I tried to find counter arguments as well, but I feel like we've come across the same articles.
Yeah,
Uh,
like all of them either said yes because of the physical aspect and others said no because of the same physical aspect. Like when it comes to this, there aren't a whole lot of reasons as to why it should be and to also why it shouldn't be. It's always the same points as to, the physical aspect, the overall, ambience of the thing, like we have the sponsorships, both have the sponsorships, both have, the audience, both are for entertainment purposes, both, sell out arenas and all that stuff.
Mhm.
You know,
I I don't I don't know if I were to. Then again, am I just feeding into my own confirmation bias? Probably. I'll say that. Nothing's for certain, but probably. I don't see an issue with the name myself, esports, because that E is a differential. You know that E makes a difference. Uh,
yeah.
because the other sports are just sports, but is that E is a huge game changer. But I don't know. It is because E skill based teamwork gaming doesn't roll off the tongue as well as
Or you
esports
could
does
just
it.
call it, like I guarantee you this conversation wouldn't be so heated between others if it were named as something else, like e-gaming, e-comps. I don't know, something, you know, like
Ecom. Watch me and Victor like now
all
become
right, yeah,
like
now I'm here for e-comps, pro e-comms. I'm not
you
gonna lie.
imagine?
Yo, actually not gonna lie, that actually sounds good.
Ecom sounds really fun.
E-comps, e-competitions, electronic competitions. That's what they are. They're competitions. And
Yeah,
you
but
can
like
make the same argument on the sports. They are competitions.
right
There's leagues. There's match day
clubs.
fixtures, clubs. And all that stuff. And you could say the same thing about esports. Like there is clubs. In Overwatch. Like there are clubs. Like
There
there
are
are
legitimate
teams.
teams
Yeah.
too, like legitimate teams. We're talking leagues devoted to this. Holy shit, we just got an influx of viewers. Thank y'all for chilling. But yeah, there are huge leagues devoted to things, and like you have the niche leagues as well, because not everybody who's is subscribed to the esports are going to tune in to an owl match, because owl has their own platform, you know, and then Evo has their own platform. But I think if you could put, not to like that whole argument of strength in numbers, if you could get them all on, say, like one channel, I think, and like you'd split it up. Maybe it won't be live all the time, because I feel like these events take place A, around the world, and B, at the same time around the world. I think it would still be good to have like reruns of it, and I hope G4 decides to come in and just swoops and say like, "Hey, you guys are professional gamers. You guys should be on a gaming channel."
Yep.
But ecom.
It's just the name of it that brings the whole debate, because you tied in the word sports
Yeah,
with it. Like, like now we're, even us, we're having this debate as to whether,
we
it should
agree
be.
or
Yeah, we either
disagree.
agree, disagree, whatever. Now, if you rename it something else, now, okay, you can just leave it unknown. It's its own thing. It has its own physical aspects. It has its own thing, you know. Because it's
Right.
so different, that's why I think it should be rebranded.
Yeah,
And I do I acknowledge all the points that you've made, like,
same.
yeah,
Like I respect your points as well. I'm not trying to like say that my argument is better. Vic's not trying to say his argument is better. We have our own opinions. We have our own biases and things like that. And this is a healthy discussion to have as well. Uh, like I definitely agree with some of the points that you've made, but I don't agree with all of them. You know, and I'm sure you agree. You can
yeah, I
say the
agree
same
with
about
some, then others, you know. But, that's what it is. It's a debate, it's an opinion, it's just what I feel, it's just what you feel,
mine.
you know.
And and now let's turn it over to chat. How do you feel? Just with one word, yes or no. Yes or no.
Just yes or no. Yes
I
or no.
want to say,
And yeah, and thank you again to those who did participate into this.
yeah, we absolutely love it. We're glad that everybody's just, hey, kind fellow. I got your brother on me on my
Hmm.
side.
It's fine, and like I said in the beginning, your opinion is the more popular one.
Right,
I
right.
took on the more you know, not so popular, the
But
one
like
that's
at the
being
same
shunned.
time, bravo to you, because like this is your actual opinion too. Like you're not shying away and trying to play devil's advocate. You actually legitimately believe this, and I think that's really cool of you to do. And just say like, hey, you know, I know this isn't popular. I'll be hated for 20 seconds or 30, like 10 minutes while I explain my points. No, no.
I'm not gonna lie, it was difficult trying to come up with points as to why it shouldn't be.
Did you
a
ever
sport.
find like an article? Like, let me ask, in your time researching, did you ever find an article that you were like almost change your opinion?
Yeah, I've almost all of them that I've read, because of the viewpoint of it being like, or it's saying yes, it should be considered a sport, almost made me change my mind. you know,
Hmm.
because they all had, huge arguments. They had very good arguments, but I wanted to stick with what I wanted to say about it because, like I said, I myself was in the competitive scene. I understand and I acknowledge everything that they do, but I want it to be different. But I did have moments where I was like, damn, like it's so one-sided. It felt like, I was like, well, is it, worth um saying no? But I'm like, well, yeah, no, it is worth saying no. It's my opinion. It's you
Right,
know
absolutely. And let me just read out. We have Juan that says yes, and then we have Sweaty Magic that says yes, and then we have Tom saying I would consider it a sport, but like I was saying, it's kind of new uncharted territory. I feel like more people will accept it with time. That's a valid point.
yeah,
It
it's a
is,
valid point.
like I said, it is still kind of a new term as well,
Mm-hmm.
but since it's early on, that is also subject to change. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like if I were to mention this to like one of my brothers, they would have an argument against it because like um,
Yeah,
he's
they
he's
both play
very
sports,
into
right?
sports science. Well, no, Brandon's very into sports science.
Okay.
Because like that's like a lot of what he deals with as well. Like he's a strength and conditioning certified strength and conditioning coach. So like I feel like he might have a different opinion. Which, if you get down to the sports science of it, there are plenty of really interesting things to consider. We kind of went for the more scholarly based articles, things like that. Well,
Oh,
at
that's
least
right.
I
Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, like most teams and all that stuff have, medical staff. They have different, like they have vast amounts of staff within them. There are
I
physios
think
there.
it's now that like there's been some like really unfortunate events to happen. Like EMTs weren't always like it's even in the early days, maybe they were like, oh, they're just gaming, but now you have people who have passed out due to stress, like various reasons, where
And now we're
whether
gonna
it's
have
stress.
EMTs there at these competitions because one of them got like such a badass play of the game that they just fell because of cardiac arrest.
Dude, that's scary though. And if they didn't have any medical staff there, like
Yeah, see,
I shudder to
there's
think of that.
lots of
There,
points
there,
for it. Some points no. But I don't think there's enough points as to why it should be something different. That's why I wanted to do a little bit, differently. Like I wanted to say no and yes. You know,
it is
this, yeah.
it is hard though. This is definitely a hard thing. If like even thinking about it, like off the top of my head, I wouldn't even know if we did. Like if I was in your shoes, right, and I agreed that it wasn't movement for it and that it should be rebranded. That's so because there's a wide umbrella of content, I guess. Content to indulge in and to explore within the gaming community, as well as if we were going to call it gaming. But wait, now this I want to hear this because I just thought about that. I thought about this a little bit ago, but I got distracted by point from chat. Say, what about virtual reality competitive gaming?
What do you mean?
Like, is that not physical enough, or is that because now you're standing up?
That's true.
Like now you're standing up and you actually have to enact some of the things like that. I don't know. I know there's a shooter on that's basically
Yeah. See,
Rainbow Six,
now
but
that's a whole different realm. Yeah, you're doing a little bit more now.
Beat Saber. There's probably competitive scene in Beat Saber.
Yeah, I
I'll say
guess
it
like
right now.
probably, like okay, I get what you're trying to say, right. I don't know. Now that's a whole different realm, right?
I didn't even
Now
think of this. I
virtual
literally just thought
reality.
about this right now.
Yeah, now we bring in virtual reality, but I mean, still, you know, that would fall under a subcategory of what esports is trying to be.
Hmm.
And it would just be another subcategory because okay, yeah, you're right. Like now they're up and now they're moving around, some more.
Oh my god,
But
even Just Dance and things like that.
it's funny enough, bro. Like cheerleading, not a sport, despite the physical.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a sport. Elite cheer competition is a sport.
is it a sport? I thought it wasn't a sport. I found that my
Professional.
like research like it's not a sport.
Uh, if it's not, I feel like elite cheer should be considered
So I'm
a
like,
sport.
yeah, because I was wondering. I mean, they have like national tournaments and all that stuff. But I mean, well, whatever. But
Bring It On is not fictional. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, like, but going back to your virtual reality thing, look, yeah, I mean, now they're standing up, now they're moving around somewhere, but it's still not, like as demanding, like let's say now there's competitive fencing, like through virtual gaming, something like you're not actually holding a weighted thing, like you're just holding
Yeah,
controllers, you know what I mean?
I guess. But what about Beat Saber? Because that's swinging your arms around
Yeah,
and
see, now that's just dance, right?
I mean, I could see that argument. I could
Yeah,
see that argument.
yeah. Now
And
now
it's
it's just dance because now you're just going like this.
yeah, but dance is also like professional dancing is also like very like grueling
That's
as
very
well.
physically demanding. Holy shit.
Yeah. Like I'm not trying to like take away that either, but
Yeah,
like I
but
can
see,
see
now
the
that's
argument.
different. Like I said, now it's more dance, but like dance, like there's a ton of them. It's choreographed and all that stuff, and you're just reacting to what's on a screen.
Right.
While they actually have to practice, they're in and out all the time, working on either the same moves or different ones. Now it's choreographed. Now there's a huge staff with it and all that stuff.
Yeah, okay. I
You know
see
what I
that.
mean? Now that one is just you're moving your arms, maybe not so much your legs, and all that stuff. But that's all body,
Right, right.
right? And then we have virtual gaming. It's not necessarily all body.
I shudder to think about the advent of virtual reality where you'll be able to feel the weight of something because that's what the PS5 is doing right now. Like the haptic feedback. If you're
Oh,
holding something heavy, you're able to feel some semblance of how heavy this thing is. So
right.
imagine that, but for VR, that's scary.
A
And
little
then
bit.
like shot put, like imagine they have VR Olympics. Like how they had Wii Sports Resort, like Wii Olympics, dude. Can you imagine that for
I
Steam?
want to see a competitive Wii Sports. I want to see competitive Wii bowling.
See, that's another thing.
I'd pay to see that. I suck at real life bowling, but I think I do fairly well in competitive Wii bowling.
Oh, dude, that was a weird time in gaming. The
That was great.
Wii.
Fucking loved it.
Love Wii.
Underrated, bro. Wii Sports underrated. With the most fire soundtrack, bro.
Wii bowling is the best.
Wii bowling is the best.
Yeah, do you ever see those things where just like when the Wii Sports team knows they're making fire, then there's the one like, they're all
Yeah,
standing around, and then like they all turn because somebody plays the flute on the way in.
dude,
Dude,
that's so fire.
yeah, I had a good time playing Wii Sports. Wii Sports, esports, it's
I'm telling
there.
you, bro.
It's
E-comps.
there.
I'm telling
E-comps,
you, e-comps. Watch, if it gets rebranded, you're welcome.
e-comps. We'll be taking our cut of the name
And
change.
I said it right here, right here. You heard it
We
first
have it.
from
It's
me.
on the
E-comps.
VOD.
It was called e. It's called e-comps.
We have it on the VOD. Thank you very much. And imagine they just like take away the audio and they just start like they
It's
just
fine.
chop
I
it up.
have it saved on my own computer. It's fine.
Hell yeah, dude. Like we have backups. Get at
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
whoever would do that. Probably nobody. Let's be real here.
But yeah, very good, lively discussion, and I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad chat participated as well. It was good. It was good to see
Yeah.
different viewpoints because some of these I actually did not even think of myself.
Mm.
Some of these were
Yes.
kind of on the spot.
Absolutely. Guys, that's thank you, Chad. Thank you, Chad. Love you guys. You guys are great.
Hmm.
Well, we're here. Let's talk about what's happening next time, right?
Yep.
All
So
right,
we're
Victor,
doing.
take it away.
So for our next episode on Friday, we are having ourselves a special guest coming onto the podcast with Tim and I. I don't know where
Mhm.
he will fit in exactly here, but I'll figure it out later.
Just put
But
his name right in the middle.
yeah, I'll just have to move the follower goal. But either way, so we decided this time to bring in someone else, and it is one of Julie's friends, so one of my friends, you can say, and that is Mike. He is a huge, huge Batman fan. You know, he could talk about all things Batman. So we decided that for next episode, he will come on the podcast with us, and we are all going to discuss our favorite Batman comics. So that'll be. I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah, I know you are. See, like I'm more of the casual comic fan, but Vic and Mike are probably the really in there, like swimwear. We're talking like in
Oh yeah,
there.
like I have my comics in the other room that I'm probably gonna bring in for the next podcast.
Love that. Love that. Actually, I love that, dude. Like, I do love that. But yeah, I think that would be a fun topic, and maybe you guys might teach me something that I didn't know about Batman already.
Probably.
I'm excited. Some of
Yeah.
the ones that we already know. Well, Vic knows my list, and I have to ask: did my list surprise you in any way?
Yes and no. I feel like there
One of
were uh
one of them was very, very obvious.
yeah. I'm not gonna say too much. I'll save that for the next podcast. But I mean, yes and no, I was surprised.
Okay,
You know, some
fair
of
enough.
these I kind of expected. Some of them, um, it I feel like there was more. Like I think you picked out just like a chapter of like a huge saga.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did because it's just like I didn't know if you wanted to do like comic stories or issues, but like I went the issues route.
Yeah, we went I have Mike's list as well, but I picked stories just cuz yeah.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Fair enough. But yeah, no, I think that would be a fun
Yeah.
discussion as
But
well.
yeah, that's what we have for Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very
Again,
excited. We have
just
us. Yep, we have our guest. So it'll be a very good discussion.
along the somewhere down the line, I we also have another guest, which I'm personally excited for, and we're going to be revisiting a topic that uh, we kind of lost on the
The
first time.
one of the lost episodes.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about that one, but I'll leave that one. I'll keep that one in my back pocket. So I guess you guys just have to keep tuning in to see if that's the episode or not. we
But yeah.
gotta we gotta plant these seeds, Vic.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, thanks guys for hanging out.
Hmm. Thank you so much, and thank you again to everyone who followed
Very,
today.
very
Like,
straight from the club. The
the colors
colors.
are groovy. Hell yeah, dude! I turned this room into a club, bro. You should see me when I'm off stream, man. I play all the fucking tunes in here.
No, you've been listening to Sob Rock.
Yeah. For
You've
those of
been
you who
listening to
don't know,
John
I am a huge John Mayer fan, and I've been listening to nothing but his new album.
dude. What about John Mayer?
Oh, there we fucking go. How do I get to the VIP list? I don't know, man.
There's
Get there.
there
Oh, I
you
know.
are.
Get play of the game. Get play of the
Oh,
game and Overwatch next time. There you go. Get play of the game and I'll add you onto the VIP list.
I feel like Chris Pratt from
One v
that.
one. 1v1 me.
Final
Final
destination,
destination.
no items.
Oh, I don't think you want to. I don't think you want to go there. I'm sorry. I don't care. I
Oh.
will go ham on you.
Also, if you guys want to, well, we could talk about it here, right? Like, we could talk about our other idea that we've been having.
The Sunday gaming thing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what would you guys think if we hosted something, right? Like if we hosted on this channel, we just hire Mango to play for me or something.
But
Um, so what would you guys think about after hours? After hours, where Vic and I play a series of co-op games together.
play of the game
Um,
is mercy. Yeah, play of the game is mercy. If you get play of the game is mercy VIP list. But yeah, so we have this idea, right? It's still kind of up in the air. We don't know whether or not we want to go along with it. We think it'd be we think it's a fun idea, right? As Tim said, an after hours kind of thing where we play co-op based games. You know,
is this gonna be like after hours or after
hey, my only Vix is a secret.
hours? Well, there's secrets out, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to OnlyVix today.
The special is Vix Vapor Rub.
But yeah, no, like we've been thinking about like what other content would you guys like to see from us, and we thought about that. So if you guys are interested, let us know. Like, and if you have any ideas for what we can talk about, send the suggestions in our general chat. Like, it's there. It is
Yep.
there.
You
Join our
could send your
Discord.
suggestions here. You can send them on the Discord. You can even check out our YouTube channel. That's right, I plugged in the YouTube channel because I've
Of
been
course.
forgetting to do that as well.
Victor did a lovely intro on our last episode. Again, can we just get hashtag Vix Vapor Rub in the chat? Like just get a train of Vix Vapor Rub, but with a Z to avoid copyright.
Yeah, yeah, Vix Vapor Rubs.
Yeah. Um. So Victor put out a lovely intro. He edited it, and we ran into some audio issues, but like we're still working out the kinks of like how to run this. We're still not entirely sure what we're doing, but now we kind of have a semblance of like what we're doing a little bit. Like as we go, hopefully content will get better and we'll have more to say and more to show you guys. And this is one thing we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from our community. What do you guys want us to talk about, and what can we do? What else can we do on this channel that you guys would be in? Oh, another thing while we're here, Vic, I think it'd be a cool idea if we can somehow get those, if we could play like party games with chat
Yeah, but like at some point we could do
at some
games
point.
and stuff like that. I mean, hey Mary, if you want to face me in Smash, 1v1 me right here on the Slightly Inappropriate podcast.
We'll mute you guys and I'll do color commentary.
You know, we'll start the e-comps on this channel.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool.
We'll host our own stuff.
What
I
if
don't.
we, Vic, what if we hosted like pickup teams? Like people make their own teams and they fight, and we do colored commentary.
Okay, I mean, like there's lots of stuff that we can do, but for right
You
now,
could host the
um,
team thing, Mary
yeah,
says.
we could. There's lots of ideas, and stuff like that. We could. But for right now, we're
We're
still
still
we're
we're
still
still
thinking everything is still up in the air. We want to build a solid foundation first.
right. So
But
that's why we've been doing list formats lately. It's easy and it's an icebreaker for you guys to get to know us
yep.
for sure.
Now you know our interests, what we like, what we don't like. And we'll do more hot takes in the future. And maybe one day, yeah, I mean, we could do like a followers, like gaming with the followers, or something like, or hosting. Like I don't. I know the support Kirby's last episode really got to you, huh?
Yeah. All right,
But yeah.
Mary. Fine, fine. Like all you. I get it. I get it. Asshole.
The poor Kirby's. I know.
Uh.
What did it take? I don't know. My depression.
My being blind out of my right eye.
But yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Uh, let me see. Vic, let me go on my personal account real quick and see who's up because we have all these lovely viewers. We could
Oh yeah, we
totally
could do a raid.
we could raid. We could raid. We could Raid somebody
All right,
real
how do I do this shit again?
quick. Oh, can we raid Ghost Flame underscore 92? So you hit slash raid or type in / raid space capital G Ghost Flame underscore 92. Did you know that Kirby? Oh yeah, we talked about that, dude. Vic talked
Yeah.
about that on
Yep, I
episode
mentioned yeah, I
our
mentioned
last
that on
episode.
my yeah, I mentioned that in the last episode. Yeah, it was the name of the lawyer. Yep, because of the legal battle between Nintendo and Universal. It was so funny. It was so funny reading that. It's hilarious, dude. Like Kirby, you think, wow, this pink
Oh,
fluff ball named after a fucking lawyer.
Magic. If you want to catch that episode, it's here on our vlog, but it's also if you go to our profile, it will take you to our YouTube channel,
Yep.
and the episode's also there.
Yep, and I've
So,
explained there that we'll take the episodes that we do here, and then these are pre saved
mhm,
onto my desktop here. So then I just finish them up and I put them up on YouTube, for just for you to watch if you don't want to watch here, But yeah, the episodes will be on there too.
mhm. It might take a couple days because Vic does like to edit them a little bit.
Yeah, I like
Uh,
to edit them, and then I'm just busy with work and other
mhm,
commitments and all that stuff.
absolutely, but like they will be there at some point.
Yep. Yep,
That
which is
that
why if you want to catch them earlier, you should be here tuning in.
right. Right, exactly. If you want to get all the energy that between the chemistry that you get for free between me and Victor, yeah, Vic's vapor rubs, they
With the
do
Z at the
one
end. With the Z at the end.
with a Z, with a Z, fucking Z.
All right, but I think that'll do it from us. So, all right,
Yeah,
so / raid Ghost Flame 92
underscore 92,
underscore.
underscore 92. Otherwise, we'll raid his old channel.
Oh, yikes! A dead channel. Here you go. Here's nothing.
All right, everybody, we'll catch you in that.
Do I just hit enter?
Yep, and then when the button says raid now, we head on over. Catch us in the chat over there, everybody. Love y'all. This is a great friend of ours, great friend of mine. Love this dude. And he's just a wholesome human being.
All right,
Love
that'll
this
do.
dude.
That'll do from us.
Join this raid. Come on, everybody. We'll catch you in the chat room. Oh, that was fun.
Do I end it now?
Yeah.